Well, did not want to be able to do this today. Come in after a Rams loss that ends their season. And I mean, as a football fan, this was a great game, very back and forth. Just wish obviously the Rams could come out on top here. These are definitely the two best teams in the NFL. And there was a reason that we were saying it all week long of whoever wins this game is likely going to win the Super Bowl. I think you saw that just in this game with the way that it played out. These two teams, this was like the Super Bowl because whoever wins this one, again, is likely going to win the Super Bowl. So before I get into anything, just want to say congrats to Seahawks fans, to the fan base, their team, and all of that. While there were things that the Rams did that hurt themselves and things that were self-inflicted that if they didn't do, they probably could have won. The Seahawks also went out there and earned it, and they went out there and proved it. They won the game, so just want to give respect to you guys and to your team. Just frustrating. It's crazy to say. I mean, you take aside that Eagles game earlier in the year that the Rams lost 26-33. That was essentially a 1-point loss because it was a blocked kick that was taken all the way back when the game was over. So I still say it was like a 1-point loss. It's crazy to think that this loss today, that was just by 4 points at the end in the NFC Championship game, was the largest loss that the Rams had in terms of point differential at the end of the year. They lost by 4. This is their biggest loss in terms of total margin of points. Take that Philly game out. So that's the frustrating thing with this kind of game is the Rams did not play nearly as good as we would have expected. They also didn't play up to what we know that they're capable of and what they showed. And you can't do that against a team like the Seahawks. They're going to make you pay for that. I mean, that muffed punt, they're going to make you pay. They did the very next play. And it comes down to those little things. And that's the crazy thing is, as bad as the Rams played in certain aspects, as good as they played in other aspects, they still almost won this game. It was that close, but obviously almost doesn't get you a win. It doesn't move you on in the playoffs. And so just it's frustrating. It hurts right now. It really does hurt right now. But the hard part is I know it's going to hurt more as the week goes on. Like right now, it's raw emotion. There's a point where I felt like we were going to lose this game. There's a point that I was like, oh, shoot, we're going out here and we're going to take this game. When Stafford scrambled and he somehow got that first down after breaking through a sack, I was like, oh, like we're winning this game. And that's where it came down to on that very last drive that the Rams had before, obviously that desperation drive at the end there. The Rams were driving there. They were moving it down. But at the end of the day, it came down to the number one offense versus the number one defense on a fourth down call. And the Seahawks just covered it beautifully. Like there was just nothing there. And as good as they were moving down that drive, as much as momentum was in your favor, the Seahawks just did a great job. They had it all covered up. And it's frustrating. It really is. I mean, again, the realization that the season is over, I don't think has officially hit me yet, especially with how close we are to actually winning that Super Bowl. I don't want to count this season as a failure from a fan perspective because the Rams provided so many great moments for me to be able to witness this year. And as I mentioned earlier, every loss that they've had, as gutting as it has been, there was never a team that blew us out and didn't give us an entertaining finish, at least. And the Rams gave me so many memories to look back on this season to be proud of. It's just, man, the Super Bowl was looking very winnable this year. Our team looked like they had enough. We ran into the last team that we had to be able to get past and likely win the Super Bowl, and they brought their best game. I mean, I'm just going to say it. They brought their best game, and Sam Darnold in particular. I talked about all week long. If you let Sam Darnold throw it 17 or 20 times, basically don't have the game be on Sam Darnold or on the running game and put it on Sam Darnold, I think the Rams would have a good shot. I thought he was going to throw an interception. He was going to turn over the ball. He's going to make a weird decision. He threw it 36 times today, had 346 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and made some really good throws. And it's one of those things, if we play this game 10 times, does he do it all 10 times? I don't think so, but I still have to give him credit. He made those throws. And obviously the Rams secondary really struggled today in big situations, key moments, and the defense as a whole looked very porous. Like they made some stops, and it was frustrating when they made the stop. A big stop in that point in the game to get the ball back. I believe at that point we were down 17-13, and Xavier Smith muffs it. Very next play, defense goes back out there, touchdown. Like the defense shouldn't get blamed for that. Like special teams cost you there, and that was a big conversation point heading into this game. Was there's a big difference in special teams in terms of the Seahawks have a great elite special teams. The Rams have one that has been up and down, struggling, had really bad moments early on. They've been cleaning things up, but things still have appeared in special teams. And I didn't think Xavier Smith would be a big reason why you'd lose this game or because like after he fumbled that and the Seahawks got a touchdown, from that point on, we were trailing the entire game. And that is really frustrating because Xavier Smith didn't have a single play like that all year long, did not muff a ball at all. He almost muffed two of them. And so it's weird because special teams cost you, and it really did, but it wasn't in a way that we would expect. It wasn't a blocked kick. It wasn't a missed kick. It wasn't anything like that. So that's frustrating. I was also really frustrated with heading into halftime. It was under 2 minutes to go, and the Rams were up 13-10. They get the ball back after a defensive stop. Rams have an opportunity to go up 20-10 at most, or 16-10, or at the very least, drain the half out, go into half with a lead 13-10. I think it's a big momentum thing. And the Rams go 3-and-out. They give the ball back. Seahawks march right down the field. They get a touchdown. So it's 17-13 instead of Rams being up 13-10. And the Seahawks get the ball after that. And it's crazy to think after that point in the game, the Rams never got the lead back. And it comes down to things like that in games like these. It's going to be those little things. And in that moment, the Rams not capitalizing as good as their offense was today, and as many crazy throws Matthew Stafford made, showing he's the MVP of the league, as many good moments that we saw. It's like you look back at that little 2-minute situation, the middle eight of the game, between the change of half, and that was a big opportunity for the Rams. And not only did they not capitalize, they didn't get points to add on to their lead, but they gave it back one more time after the defense made a stop. And then the defense just gets torched down the field. It's JSN, touchdown, and from there you just can't come back in this game. So it's those things like that where, again, this Rams offense is great, and they have great moments. And I wouldn't put this game just all on the Rams offense. They came back in this game and they made those plays. But it's things like that where it's like, man, you invested so much into the offense in that little 2-minute period right before half. You wish that they could have put something together in that game. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, I still appreciate that the fight that this team had to go out in this game. As I mentioned, aside from the Eagles game, this was the largest amount of points that we lost by 4 points. And at a certain point in the game, the Rams could have just given up. They could have just succumbed to the momentum that the Seahawks had and everything that they had rolling with them. Obviously, that Tariq Woolen taunting call was huge, but the Rams still had to go out there and get a touchdown. They get it the next play. And that's what this team did all year long, is like, even in the games when you felt like they were out of it, like Atlanta, you're down 18 points at halftime, they find a way to come back and make it close. And it hurts when you lose it, because it's like you get all that belief built back in yourself, like, oh, we're going to actually go out here and do this. And then it gets ripped out of you at the end, and that hurts. But at the same time, I'm proud that we didn't lose in a blowout fashion when you could have. I mean, at that point, when that taunting call happened, I think it was 24-13. The Seahawks would have gotten the ball back, and we made it a 4-point game at the very end. And again, at a certain point in it, it felt like the Rams were going to take this one back. It felt like when Stafford was just making throw after throw incredibly, Devontae Adams stepping up, Puka Nacua, Colby Parkinson at times, and then it comes down to fourth down in the red zone, and it's best offense versus best defense, and the defense wins. You have to give them credit. And Rams defense today was very frustrating, very, very frustrating. They made some big plays here and there, but I was saying to my dad, like, I would get frustrated when it was a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 13, and as a Rams fan, I'm on defense, and it's a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 13, and I'm not confident that we're going to make a stop. Like, that shouldn't be the case. But the Seahawks were just moving so incredibly well. Every time it felt like we had them pinned in a good situation, they would make that throw, or they'd have just enough time, or JSN would get open, and that would be the frustrating thing, because I don't think we've seen the Rams defense play this bad. Again, they had those key moments, and they didn't get rewarded after making a stop. And then Xavier Smith muffs the ball, and there's a couple different times that those certain scenarios happen. But the defense didn't play consistent. It felt like early on in the game, from the Seahawks perspective, they were like 2 or 3 steps ahead of the defense. They were breaking tackles. They were using the Rams' aggressiveness with the blitzes against them. Sam Darnold was being smart, throwing it to his hot read. They were doing screen passes. And again, there would be times where it's like, oh, the Rams haven't bottled up right here, and the Seahawks would get an extra 8 or 9 yards. And that was consistent. And that kind of felt like the way the game was going to go. I think the Rams defense adjusted. They made those stops, and they did things to be able to get themselves back in the game, but they weren't nearly consistent enough. And obviously, I mean, just looking at some of the stats here, Sam Darnold, 25 for 36, 346 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Kenneth Walker, 19 carries for 62 yards and a touchdown. Doesn't sound impressive, but he had a lot of yards after contact and a lot of frustrating moments as a Rams fan. And JSN, obviously, 10 for 153 and a touchdown. So Yeah, it's kind of uncharacteristic what we saw out of this defense. And again, I think there's a lot of credit to give to the Seahawks and what they were able to do, how they're able to game plan for this game and the way that they're able to exploit our secondary. This is some of the worst I've seen them play. And again, you had those isolated moments where they made the plays like the Kobe Durant breakup. Um, that's the only one that comes to my mind at this point. But I know that they made some other plays. But it was one of those games where it's like, man, this is a game where I wish we had like a Jalen Ramsey or a top tier corner to try to shut down JSN and let them do something else. But really, for most of the game, it felt like the Seahawks offensively were just a few steps ahead of our defense. They kind of were playing into what we were doing, using aggressiveness against us, moving it down the field, consuming the clock. The Rams got the stops when they needed to, but the stops for both sides of the ball, for the Seahawks and for the Rams, to get a stop in this game was incredibly hard, which I didn't expect. But when the Rams were able to get those stops, they seemed to screw the situation up, like the muffed punt from Xavier Smith. Then again, another one that he almost bobbled. And then when the Rams defense gets the stop, you get that 2-minute drill. You could go up 20-10 at halftime. Huge momentum swing. You do nothing with that. And then the defense can't make a stop. And so it's one of those things where the stops were hard to come by in this game. And then when you make the stop, it felt like from the Rams perspective, they would shoot themselves in the foot and then the Seahawks would make a play. And I was kind of thinking about it all week long of the Seahawks, and Seahawks fans talked about this. The Seahawks were peaking at the right time. They were stringing together blowout wins. They were playing really clean, consistent football. The Rams at this point, like in the playoffs, they were playing good football, but you could tell there was something missing. Like they weren't in peak form is what I'm trying to say. And they would come out with the wins. And even today heading into this game, I was like, I'm confident, but I'm nervous because I acknowledge the Seahawks have been on a roll. The Rams have been like just getting by. And in a game against the Seahawks team like this, that is likely going to win the Super Bowl, they still have to go and play it. But these two teams, again, best teams in the NFL facing off today, you can't have those things where you're shooting yourselves in the foot with a muffed punt or with not capitalizing with momentum when you're on the road and letting them get all the way back into it. And it's those mistakes that we made in the Carolina game, in the Chicago game, where you could get away with it. But in a game like this, those tiny things that you do are going to compound, especially with the way the Seahawks offense was moving. I mean, I just didn't expect the Seahawks offense to look this good today. And I think a lot of that goes to their game planning that they had. A lot of that goes to just familiarity with matchups. You, again, have to give credit to Sam Darnold. There were some really open guys at times, but there were other times when he just made an incredible throw. So just a weird mixture of things in this game and things where I'm sure it's going to keep the Rams up at night. Like you look back at it and you see those plays that you could have corrected. As bad as you played, you still almost won this game. But unfortunately, unlike the regular season, when you had that kind of game where you're like, man, if we just did a couple more things right, we win this game. We didn't play our best game, but we still had it close. Unfortunately, obviously in the playoffs, if you don't make those plays and if you still almost win the game, even when you're not playing great football, it's going to cost you. You're going to have to wait months and months and months until you take the field again. And unfortunately, like we're not going to see this Rams team again. Like this iteration of this Rams team, there's going to be a lot of departures. There's going to be new additions. I don't really know where the Rams are going to go direction-wise. But like, oh man, you're so close. You're on the doorstep of a Super Bowl, and man, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's just frustrating. I guess before I get into your comments, I'll just shout out some people just off the. I don't even have notes with me right now. Just kind of shocked right now with this result, but just game balls, I guess, for this Rams team. Just we lost, but some players that impressed me heading out in the season with the statement. Devontae Adams had a really good game. I think he had like 89 yards today. Let me check with that. But he came up. He looked like a good, healthy Devontae Adams like we saw earlier on in the year. Yeah, he had 4 catches, 89 yards, a touchdown. He came in big moments, had some big plays. Puka went 9 for 165 yards and a touchdown. That's crazy. It didn't feel like that kind of game, but Puka, I guess, gets a game ball here too as well. Matthew Stafford, I mean, 22 for 35, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns against the best defense in the NFL. I mean, you saw it in that first matchup on Prime when he put up like 450 plus yards on Thursday Night Football against the best defense. Does it again. Looks like he's going to will the Rams to a victory, so I'd put Stafford in for a game ball. Braden Fisk having a couple sacks today, disrupting things. I would give him one. I feel like I'm missing. Running backs played pretty well, but I don't know if it would be like I don't know. I don't know if I put him in a game ball. They played efficient. They just didn't get used a ton, but I feel like that's all the ones I could think of for game balls. Let me know if I'm missing anybody. But yeah, again, I think my sentiments with all of this, if people are going to ask, like, is this season a fail? Is this like a season that you just throw out? From the Rams building perspective, they made it one game further than they did a year ago. But that's not what this team was trying to do. They weren't just trying to get one game better in the playoffs from the divisional to the championship game and lose it. So I think from that perspective, this season is a fail in the sense of this Rams team is built to win the Super Bowl. You have a ticking clock with Matthew Stafford being on the Rams. You don't have a huge window left with him. So I think from that perspective and from the belief in the coaches and all of that, this season is a fail. From my perspective as a fan, as I mentioned earlier, it really does hurt to lose this game. It does. And I just keep going back to that point where this Rams team feels like if they played their best game, and you could probably say this about a bunch of teams, but if they played their best game in any game, they're unbeatable. That's what it felt like in this game. They didn't play their best, and they're playing a good team, and you lost. And again, aside from the Eagles game, the biggest loss that they've had this year in terms of total points is 4 points, and that was this game. And that kind of describes this team. It's like you're going to win, you're going to get the gritty wins, you're going to get the blowout wins, but if you lose, it's going to be close, and those ones hurt. It also gives you confidence. You didn't get blown out in a way that a lot of Seahawks fans thought. But from my perspective, again, there were so many plays in this season that I can think of, so many players that had big games. Just as a football fan, I'm happy to be able to and proud to be a Rams fan and be able to see all the plays that we did. I really wish that it ended in a Super Bowl. I really wish we were able to beat the Seahawks here. And I don't want anything more than that. But I also acknowledge that this team gave us so many memories, so many great moments. And even in this game, when they had the chance to quit down 24-13, almost in the fourth quarter, they made it close at the end. You're embarrassed. You're frustrated by the way the defense played, by the way the secondary played. You just couldn't get stops. But at the end of the day, you're going at it with the best team in football. And it's the two best against each other. Between the two matchups, there's 3 total points that decided it. 1 took overtime. This game, you lose by 4 points. You're frustrated. You want to win. I keep saying that. I don't see a season as a fail from a fan perspective, but I do understand what the Rams were trying to build towards, and it's really frustrating they couldn't get it done because this year in particular felt like is one of those years that it's wide open. If you could just get past the Seahawks, it's wide open for you to be able to go and win the Super Bowl. And man, to cap off a MVP season from Matthew Stafford with the Super Bowl in Levi's Stadium, nothing sounded better than that for me. And I really wanted them to be able to do it. But, oh, man, it's frustrating. You can't really do anything about it now. Again, the hard part is I know it's just going to get more painful as the week goes on. Like right now, it's raw. It hasn't really fully hit me yet, but I guess it is what it is. Wildman Samurai, thanks for coming in. Says too many mistakes. Yeah, definitely way too many mistakes. And if you make 5-6 mistakes against a team like this in the Seahawks, you're going to lose the game. And I talked about that earlier with like losing or winning against the Panthers and the Bears. It's like you can make those mistakes and find a way to win. But against the Seahawks, especially if they're playing clean without any turnovers, which is one of the biggest things that could hamper the Seahawks team, it's hard enough to beat them. If you make the mistakes, if you set them up for a touchdown there with Xavier Smith, if you don't capitalize in that 2-minute drill, like you're going to lose the game. I'm with you, man. Ludacris says, wow, shaking my head. Yeah, collective shaking our heads right now. Congrats to Jones and Cup. Yeah, I'm happy for Cup. It's hard to be happy for Jones just because of the way, I mean, you can't blame him. He's a human, but some of the interactions he's had with the Rams, the way he kind of disses on them, he's a human being. I guess it's going to happen. But yeah, for Cup, he's one of the only guys where I'm like, man, I'm happy for him. Like he's such a class act. He did everything for it. He wanted to stay with us. It wasn't that he tried to demand his way off the team because we weren't using him. So yeah, happy for Cup. Just sad for us. Grandizer says, Rams house, what a drag. The Rams had their chances. They really blew it. Sad. Why was Tutu not active? He's the only one that can spread the field. Yes. Tutu not being active has been a weird thing with the contract that they gave him and all the expectations that we had to use him. Ultimately, it didn't really work out for this season to be able to use him the way they wanted, especially with heavier personnel. And McVay has said multiple times that, oddly enough, the guy that had a really bad day today, Xavier Smith, a guy like that, he can be used on the offense and special teams, whereas Tutu can't really be used on special teams. And the roster is so tight to where because Tutu couldn't do special teams as well, that's kind of what decided it. I don't really know if I fully agree with it or not, but either way, even without Tutu, you had chances to win this game. Like you said, definitely blew it. Steven Blanton, thanks for coming in, says today was a huge disappointment. The Rams defense let Sam Darnold throw for over 300 yards. That enough makes it a terrible season. Yeah, obviously everybody's going to look at the season a different way, and I choose to look at it as still a fun season. I don't want to just look at it as a complete fail. I think when you look at it from the way the Rams built their roster, the expectations and all of that, yeah, it's a failed season. They're supposed to win the Super Bowl this year. Again, is as wide open as it could get. You got here. You're so close. From that perspective, yes, for me as a fan, I wouldn't say I don't know. Yeah. The better team lost. That's the hard part. It's like I feel like I felt that way, especially in the Thursday night game. Like the better team lost with the Rams when they collapsed against the Seahawks. Today, I feel like the Seahawks did play really well. Like the Rams played bad. They shot themselves in the foot, but the Seahawks also played really well. So like, I don't know. On paper, I would say the better team lost. I think the Rams on paper had the better team, but today I don't know if I would say it's as definitive of like Seahawks played terribly and we played really well, but we still lost. Like I feel like this one was pretty evenly matched. Like Rams mistakes did cost them, but I don't know if I would go there. Rams house, for as much as the Rams play the Seahawks, they let Jackson Smith and Jigba get open way too much. Why is the safety assigned to cover him? I don't know. There was a lot of those moments where I was confused what we were doing coverage wise. He's a great football player. He's a great route runner, great player. One of the best receivers in the NFL for sure. It's weird because that second matchup that we had, most recent one on Thursday Night Football, we held JSN in check until like the fourth quarter, and then he came back. He still had like 96 yards or something like that at the end of it. But this game, it was just like from the very beginning, we just could not cover him no matter what we could do. So I don't know. Rams player coaches stock up and stock down. Stock up, Devontae Adams. I mean, a lot of people were wondering if he was falling off of a cliff, if this was the beginning of the end with his production not being great the last two games. He showed, again, why he's still a top receiver in the league. He still has another year on the Rams contract, so I'm excited to see him again. He had a good game, had some big plays and big moments to bring the Rams back into it. Matthew Stafford, absolutely a stock up player. I mean, there's nothing more to say about what he could do. Just the way the Rams aren't in this game if they don't have Stafford. Like, I truly believe that. And if it's Jared Goff, as much as we love Jared Goff back then, I don't even know if this game is super close. So Matthew Stafford, I would put in there. Puka Nacua. I mean, again, him having 165 yards for some reason doesn't feel right to me. Like, it doesn't – I don't remember it being that dominant for Puka, but I would put him in there. Braden Fisk, as I talked about earlier, I'd put in there. Probably somebody I'm missing for stock up. Stock down, it's the easy choice, but Xavier Smith was stock down for sure. I would also put the Rams secondary in stock down. Just really struggled, as we mentioned earlier. And it wasn't just one guy getting torched. It was multiple. And you get it. They're great players in the NFL. They get paid too. They have some top weapons there, but the secondary definitely did disappoint too. So I'd put them in a stock down. Who else? I mean, just tackling as a whole for the Rams was pretty bad. So from that perspective, I would put that in stock down because there was a lot of missed tackles a lot of times when the Seahawks would somehow get 5 or 6 extra yards on multiple plays. So I'd put that in there. That's all I got for that. Ludacris says, I hate moral victories, but I will say we have gotten better every year. We'll be back again next year. Yeah, I don't like moral victories either. It's frustrating, and you'd rather just get the victory, the actual victory that counts. I mean, that's just when you're this close for sure. The hard thing is, like, as much as we want to say, like, we'll be back next year, and as much as we have confidence in this roster, it's like we don't know that for sure. Like, we don't know. Could this be the beginning of a 10-year drought of the Rams somehow not making a Super Bowl, even with all the players that they got? You just can't predict the NFL. And so, man, I think this team has everything in it, especially with additions and things that they could do to be able to make a run. But that's the frustrating part. It's like, as fans, it's so easy to say that we'll be right back here next year. And we said that after the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and it actually took longer than we thought. It took trading for a different quarterback to be able to do that. So I don't want to dampen anything, but it's like, that's what makes this loss hurt more. It's like you just can't bank on it, and you don't know what other teams are going to do to improve to get better. You never know when the window is. And the report came out today that Stafford should be coming back next year. They have to work the contract out and all of that, but So that's a positive. If Stafford comes back, like that is massive. And this team has a good chance to get more experience. They can upgrade, but that's the hard part. It's like you just never know when you're going to get back. We should have known Xavier Smith was a choker when he was wearing that Guardian cap. Question Rams house. Where's the pass rush, Dave? I don't know. They showed up in key moments, but definitely we didn't ever have that dominant pass rush game that we were expecting as Rams fans after what they showed us last year. But they had some moments. It was frustrating. It did feel like when we got in his face, Sam Darnold, and rattled him, pushed him around, that's when we had our best chance, and that makes sense. If you harass a quarterback, that happens. But I wouldn't say the pass rush had a terrible day, but it felt like the Seahawks were just a few steps ahead all night for sure. Special teams wins championships. Definitely does. Question, I guess Coach Blackburn was not the problem after all. Lack of talent in that depth and poor coverage too. That might need an upgrade. Special teams definitely needs an upgrade. I think that Blackburn moving on from him was definitely the right decision. And Katwika has been good. He's improved the kicking game a lot. He has improved just the overall protection in the kicking game for like kicking field goals. We only had like that one big blunder with the blocked kick against the Panthers, and then the one tonight was Xavier Smith. I don't really know if that you could put that on Katwika, our special teams coordinator. Xavier Smith hadn't muffed the ball all year long. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember a single time that he muffed it. And tonight, he almost did it twice. He did it once, and it cost him. But it's like, yeah, Xavier Smith isn't that dynamic for like getting a big punt return, kick return like Shaheed is. Not everybody's Shaheed, but I don't really know if we could have seen that coming just because there was no signs of a muff coming all year long. So I think special teams definitely needs an upgrade, that's for sure. But I think that Blackburn moving on from him was the right decision. Moving on from Josh Carty to bring in Mevis was the right decision. It's just there's still some things hanging on there, unfortunately. The stage was too big for Xavier. He dropped two of them. He was probably dizzy from the pressure. Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Pharaoh Cooper in that first playoff game against the Falcons with all the – I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it definitely reminded me of that a little bit. Oh, man, didn't you guys see that name? Yeah, it's a hard loss. Definitely going to get harder as the week goes on for sure. Worst defense in a playoff team I have ever seen. I definitely wouldn't go that far, but it is pretty rough. It is definitely pretty rough. Puka was getting open on that 4th and 4 when Stafford threw it to Ferguson. Yeah, it was hard to tell. Stafford was kind of getting flushed out there. He was running out of time. I mean, it's easy to say from our perspective. I don't know if Puka was wide open, but he definitely was working his way open for sure. Why is when the Rams run the ball, go to their tight ends, they seem to move the ball in a structured fashion, but when they go to Adams, it seems to throw timing off? That's an interesting observation. I think this game, I don't really know if you could say that. I feel like when they went to Adams, I mean, he had 4 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown, and he was getting good separation, all of that. Early on in the game, for sure, the Rams felt like they're kind of forcing things deep, forcing some different things, and Adams didn't get quite going. But I don't know if I'd agree in that sense, but what I do think is the Rams offense can be explosive, and we saw that on the drive that they needed. I'm trying to even remember what the score was, but the Rams were down. I think it was 31-20, and that was the drive that we got the touchdown to Devontae Adams. They went in 4 plays, like really quickly moved down the field, got a touchdown. But I do think that this Rams offense is at their best when they were leaning into that 13 personnel, when they were running the ball, taking those quick ones, take the shots when they're there, yeah. But like it felt like they had a lot more rhythm that way compared to, let's get pass happy, or let's just take shots down the field, or let's force the issue. When they really slowed the game down all year long, not just this game, running the ball, leaning into the heavier packages, and kind of matriculating it down more than just trying to get the big play, definitely felt like it was when they were at their best. And they can move down the field in 4 or 5 plays, but I think they definitely worked at their best. And it's good against a defense like this to methodically move it down the field. So that's kind of what I think. Our defense is really bad. It's a miracle we won any playoff games with that defense. This performance today definitely was pretty rough for sure. He says, yep, Puka was open. Even if he didn't get the touchdown, he gets the first down. Oh, man, I'm going to have to look at that again, or maybe I don't. Maybe that makes it hurt more. Ricky Game, Mile High, thanks for coming in. Sorry about your Broncos, too. We get to share in this pain. Stafford will still be the MVP. I agree, especially because they vote at the end of the year. It's not they don't vote in the playoffs, so I think Stafford still gets MVP. It's just like I mean, you don't want to discredit his season, and I'm not trying to do that, but it almost feels like a consolation at this point. Like, well, we didn't get the Super Bowl. At least he gets the MVP. And it's like, yeah, at least he got that. At least he got the MVP, and I think that's going to happen too. But man, wish you could have paired two of them together with the Super Bowl in that. Xavier Smith fumble was the game changer. The officials missed the face mask call in the first half on Stafford. He's the quarterback with all eyes on him running, and they missed the call. Yeah, I mean, I will say I'm kind of glad that the refs made up for it with that taunting call with Reek Woolen that kind of got us back into the game there because that's a 50-50 call. Like sometimes refs call that, sometimes they don't. But yeah, there are definitely some missed calls there in this game. But even with that, it's like the Rams still had chances to win it for sure. Rams secondary needs a total overhaul. I think this is going to be the offseason that they actually bring in some more secondary pieces. We don't know if Cam Curl's going to be back. He is a pending free agent. He may be back. He may be not. It'd be good to get him back, but do the Rams really pay two safeties with Lake and Curl? I don't know. Kobe Durant is a free agent, and Roger McCreary is a free agent. So I think changes are coming for the secondary. My question is, are the Rams this frustrated? Kind of like they were with the run defense and how bad it was against the Eagles last year. Are they this frustrated with the secondary in the cornerback room where they're like, okay, like let's just put our chips in and get like overhaul the secondary or make a big move at corner? Because people have been calling for that since Jalen Ramsey left, and they just haven't operated that way. They've been confident with what they have. So this could be the offseason. If the Rams are that frustrated like they were about their run defense and put all the assets in to fix that, maybe now secondary's next. We'll see. Versus Young, again, no factor. The frustrating thing is Byron Young was really dealing with a knee injury, and he was questionable for this game. He didn't play a lot of snaps from what I saw, but when he wasn't at his full strength, and it didn't look like he was even close to it. Jared Verse, I mean, I don't know. He wasn't completely quiet. He made his plays, but this is where you kind of miss like an Aaron Donald. And obviously he's the honorary captain, but like those plays that the Seahawks had multiple times when it's like, okay, big third and long, or this is a big down here in the red zone. Let's swing momentum. We need a big play from our pass rush. Like we got spoiled as Rams fans having Aaron Donald that would be the guy to make those game changing plays. And going back to when the Rams gave the Seahawks the ball back again in that 2-minute drill before half, that's kind of one of those plays where I feel like Aaron Donald in the past would have been able to disrupt things or make a play or do something. But at the same time, like you can't be comparing things to Aaron Donald and the legend that he was. So yeah, you wish that there was that one presence though on the line, or even just as a collective of like, okay, big moment, let's make a play, let's make a sack. Didn't see that as consistently this year for sure. Scotty Boy says cut Smith immediately. Yeah, man. I feel for him because I love his story. And again, all year long, he hasn't muffed a ball. But, things like this in these games where it costs you a trip to the Super Bowl, it may end up happening. First and Young don't belong in the Pro Bowl. They've definitely been inconsistent. I think Byron Young had a very consistent, especially like first 2 quarters of the year or like 2/3 of the year. Getting a lot of, I think he had 12 sacks, started off really hot, but yeah, I don't know. I think that there's definitely more that we want from them, but they're also young players. So hopefully this offseason helps to push them even further, but we'll see. Seahawks got that at the right time. They won, 6 in a row? Yeah, 6 games in a row. Yeah, Seahawks got hot at the right time. I see what you mean now. Should have traded for Garrett at the trade deadline. He wanted out of Cleveland. Yeah, I think a lot of teams were trying to trade for him, including the Eagles, but the Browns didn't let him go and just gave him the big contract. I don't really know if the Rams could have fit a Myles Garrett on this roster from a cap space perspective, especially when you have to pay Puka. They already paid Lake. You have to pay Kobe Turner, Jared Verse. I don't really know if that would have worked there, but definitely feels like they needed one more presence on this defensive line. I never would have imagined this when we released Cooper Kupp, but that's how karma works. Exactly. Yeah, he came up in big moments. The big touchdown, third down conversion. We know who Cooper Kupp is. It is frustrating though that it kind of felt like a dagger in the heart a little bit. Yeah, I agree with you, Jerome. He did. That's this frustrating part. Both games against Seattle, last 2 games against Seattle for Stafford, he played incredibly well and we lost. It's like I feel for him. I feel for so many players on this team, but at the end of the day, like we just didn't play well enough. Even with how close the game was at the end there, it's like you just can't make those kinds of mistakes against this team. So a few months back, I take it that cornerback Mansour Delane, LSU, will be maybe the pick for the Rams in the first round via the Falcons and got laughed at. Yeah, it still seems like in play. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Again, I think the Rams may actually address the secondary for the first time in a while. Just in what ways, we'll see. They did. If you wanted to break a window or punch a wall, we get it. I'm just going to be screaming my pillow more. Honestly, that's probably the approach that I take. I mean, it's one of those weird games. I predicted the Rams would win 23-20 in this game, and I realized it took them having to play their best to be able to do that and pull it off. But something about, like, as the week went on in this game, especially the last 2 days, I was getting a really eerie feeling about this game, like the Rams were going to lose it. And it's like, there's just, as a football fan, you know that feeling. And sometimes it proves out to be wrong. Sometimes you have that feeling and nothing happens. You still win the game. But I mean, I think the eerie feeling came from just knowing how good these two teams are. You got to play it almost perfect to be able to beat them. So, yeah. Darren, thanks for coming in. Says, I begged at the end of the last year we get 2 cornerbacks and free safety. I begged at a draft in preseason before the deadline for secondary. Honestly, amazing we made it this far. Yeah, it's definitely something that could look to be addressed. And I think when you're getting consistent pass rush, you can kind of mask the secondary more. And that's what the Rams have been able to do such a good job with having guys that aren't big names in the secondary. They've been able to mask it with a good pass rush. And I mean, the pass rush, let's just face it, has been very inconsistent this year. So when your back's against the wall, it ends up losing you the game in a lot of aspects. But Kinchin's with that sack, man, why was he not used like that before? He has been. It's just he doesn't always get through in that kind of way. But that was perfect timing. I was like, man, I was begging on that one, and then the Braden Fisk sack when we got the ball back for the very, very last time. I was like, please just rip the ball out of Darnold or light him up so hard that the ball comes out and you scoop it, because like that's what the Rams are banking on at the end of the day. But that was a perfect called play there. Your flaws will always show, and they happen to show in the most critical moment of the season. Yeah, first off, I like that picture, by the way. That profile picture is really cool. But yeah, I mean, I heard a bunch of Seahawks fans. I mean, there were a lot of Seahawks fans that thought they were going to blow us out in this game. The more rational fans knew it would be close, but a lot of them brought up the fact that the special teams for the Seahawks is miles and miles ahead of the Rams, and that's a legitimate advantage. And I think that the Rams special teams has been playing a lot better to end the year. So I was like, yeah, like we'll see. Will it really come down to special teams? And sure enough, like obviously the Rams still had opportunities to make plays even after that Xavier Smith thing got back in it. But like at that point in the game, instead of it being 24-10 or 24-13, the Rams, if they didn't muff that, it would have been 13-17. And you get the ball, you have momentum. So, man, special teams definitely did make a difference, and Seahawks fans were right about that. O-line did well, most improved overall on the team. That's a good point. Yeah, they get overlooked a lot, but that's a good point. They did really well all year long without their starter in Rob Havenstein too. Rams draft needs via the draft: a cornerback 1, cornerback 2, slot cornerback, another pass rusher, a speed wide receiver. We'll see. Yeah, Paul, I'm with you. Feel bad for Stafford as well. That is frustrating. Man, he played so well, and yeah, I feel for him. That's the thing. It's like I don't even hurt necessarily just for myself of like I'm a Rams fan and they lost. I hurt for a lot of players there that I wanted to win. Like I wanted them to win so bad, and Stafford was definitely up there. Descendo, Rams should have won. I'm upset. Yeah, they left the door open too many times. They just didn't play well enough to win. Worst display of our defense: no coverage, bad tackling, and out. Yeah, agree with you. I'm just trying to think back. There's been a couple of performances that the Rams defense had that was pretty bad, but that one was pretty bad in a lot of senses. It was like bad tackling, overcommitting on certain angles when you try to make a tackle, bouncing off guys, bad coverage. I mean, they had those moments. They had their moments. It wasn't all bad, but it was definitely a pretty bad showing there. Kyron was running hard all game. He just could not break out for a big run. Yeah, that's definitely not Kyron's style. It doesn't need to be. That's more Blake Corum's style. But um, I, I wouldn't really put anything on Kyron for sure. Verse and Young, you are right. They don't belong in the Pro Bowl. We'll see. I think this is going to be a big year for both of them, especially Byron Young. This is going to be a contract year next season. By the time that one starts, he did make big improvements after last year, and it showed. Jared Verse, especially, is going to be a big year for him as well to see, and I'm going to be interested to see like as good as this young, fearsome foursome, as people called it, stepped up and made some big plays. Like, are the Rams going to get kind of impatient and invest in even just like, I think that's one thing that the Rams could need, like obviously cornerbacks and all of that. If they just get like one good proven guy on the defensive line or one electric guy in some sort of fashion, whether it's the draft, whether it's free agency, like that could be all the Rams need because this pass rush isn't bad. It's just they set the expectations so high, and then there's games where they kind of feel like they go quiet or they only make a couple plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Rams address that, if at all. He did. Yeah, and he deserved that. Sucks. It's supposed to be our year, and our division rival is going to win it now. Yeah. And I mean, like, even if the Patriots win it too, it's just like, sour taste in your mouth for sure. Stafford played as good as any game in his career. He did. Crazy good throws, even when you're down, like on the money throws. I mean, I love Stafford. The thing that bothers me are those who had no dog in this fight and they were against the Rams. I never get a Chiefs fan hating on the Rams. Hey, thank you for saying that because I feel the same way too. Um, it is frustrating to be able to see that just because like I don't really know what the reason is why people don't like the Rams, but it's hard coming from a perspective of having a Rams bias and being a fan of being like, why do you not like us? But that was weird. I was like, I don't really know why everybody's against the Rams in this sense, like from a fan perspective. But let's see. Descendo says now Seahawks get a Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm going to be hoping that the Patriots can repeat what they did like a little bit over a decade ago and beat the Seahawks. That would be like, that's an ultimate petty move as a Rams fan, just to be like, okay, now hope they don't win it. Like, let's just have them get beat. Even though, like, it adds another Super Bowl to the Patriots and all the ones that they have. Like, I could care less. I don't want the Seahawks to win it. Worst defense of the season, bad tackling, bad coverage, and out of position too many times. Whole DBs overhaul, new DB coach needed, and question defensive coordinator. Yeah, I definitely think defense is going to be addressed. And the Rams have a lot of money. They have 2 first-round picks, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Yards allowed after first contact and lack of cornerback play, the reason our season is over. Yeah, on top of that muff pump really cost it. But yeah, consistently the yards after contact. And it's just a lot of things that we're not accustomed to seeing, especially just from a pure tackling perspective from the Rams, where it's like, gosh, we never look this bad tackling. Like, what is the problem here? Like, the Seahawks brought it, yeah, but like, what was the problem there? The road to get to the Super Bowl is tough. The Rams team was good enough 2 years in a row to win it all. It is. That's what makes winning them so sweet. It's like, again, we talked about it earlier. A lot of people are like, oh, we'll be right back here and we're going to do it again. Like, we're going to actually finish the job. It's like, you just don't know that. And like, even that 2021 Super Bowl team, it's like, it took so many things going right from a health perspective, from just personnel, from some different breaks that you got and all of that, where it's like, you got to enjoy even just like the playoffs as a whole. It's like you just don't know. Like the road is so tough to where you could get close all those years. Like look at the 49ers, how many times under Shanahan that they've gotten to the Super Bowl and just haven't won it. So it's like thankful as a fan that I've seen the Super Bowl victory, but it is tough because it's like, again, like you said, there's 2 years that we could have won it and we just don't. So all the money on offense and stopped when needed it most. Yeah, that's frustrating because it's like Rams offense came back and they got themselves back into the game. But I keep looking back to that 2-minute drive that the Rams had, the opportunity to go up 20-10 heading into halftime and instead get stopped really quickly. Seahawks get the touchdown, no momentum changes, and you never get the lead back. Like, I mean, I don't know. You're going to have to play so well if you're playing a team like the Seahawks, especially if your defense isn't stepping up. Like, those things do hurt. But offense as a whole played pretty well today. It's just like situationally, those things are going to come back for sure. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Darnold threw for almost 400 yards. Yeah, and again, he was almost at 40 pass attempts, and he didn't turn over the ball a single time. So definitely credit to him. It's unfortunate though. Yeah, I agree with you, Jerome. Seahawks made fewer mistakes, and that definitely decided it. And that's what it comes down to. When you have two of the best teams in the NFL squaring off, it's just like, okay, who makes fewer mistakes at the end of the day in the simplest form? Whoever makes less mistakes in the game is probably going to win. Shadow says, "Hey, LA Rams fans, I'm a Seahawks fan. Don't hang your head. You guys played well. Great game. Look forward to next season. Matchups going to be a lot of fun moving forward." Appreciate you, Shadow. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Thanks for being respectful coming in here. Yeah, it is frustrating. It's going to be a long off season for sure, but fun season for sure. All the predictions went down the toilet. No pressure on Darnold. No coverage of wide receivers. Yeah, this D line is definitely very hard to figure out. I don't. They're not bad, and they're not like average, but at times they feel average, and at times they feel great. Like it does feel like they're just missing like one piece there, which is weird because they were dominant first year together, and they caused so much havoc even against like the Eagles, who had the best offensive line in football last year. But then it's like there's just a lot of confusion with them, inconsistency for sure. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, it was like the Rams defense, the D line got figured out. Granted, they got sacks, but they seemed not to get pressure versus an O line that has had its woes. Yeah, there's definitely confusing moments for sure. Rob says, "My question is, how were any of our coordinators considered for head coaching positions after a game like this? Total letdown. Team came out flat and finished flat." Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. I wonder if this is going to impact like the Chris Shula. Is he going to leave or not? I do think that he's a good coordinator. I think that there's definitely things that he's learned, like he's going to have to learn. And there was a time when in this game on multiple third downs, the Rams, even if it was third and long, would bring a bunch of blitzes at Darnold, and like to a certain point, I was like, okay, it's not working. Like, let's stop blitzing on these third downs. He's converting. He's throwing it to the hot read, doing whatever he has to do. He's playing it smart. But I don't know. There's still a lot of growth for Shula, and he's still young. I think that if the Rams do make a couple additions on defense, like some good additions there, maybe we can change our tune here because he has had a good performance, but definitely did come out flat today. Yeah, Moo, dude, I'm with you too. I don't even like football. I just do this just because I have to. Yeah, thanks for coming in, Moo, dude. Seahawks are going to blow out the Patriots. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I think that the Patriots may keep it close for a little bit, but that's what I'm afraid of. I think Seahawks are going to go on to win it for sure. If we took the field goal, Seahawks next drive would have been desperate. Yeah, it's hard to tell, honestly. Rams just one draft away. I think that quick four plays where Devontae Adams got the TD wasn't there. A good run by Kyron and then a pass to a tight end. It just seems like to get more magic with the run game and tight ends. Yeah, the run game, tight ends, and playing methodical definitely makes it seems like it works a lot better for the Rams for sure. It is a bittersweet MVP for sure. It's like, I mean, Bills fans, Ravens fans have had to experience this of like winning the MVP. Even Packers fans with Aaron Rodgers, and it's like, yeah, you won the MVP, but you didn't get the job done, and it's like it was right there. So ESPN was saying that that was McVay's best shot for a second Super Bowl with Stafford. Yeah, oh, I agree with them. I think this was our best shot for sure. Verse isn't that guy. I agree. I think Verse is very good, but coming into the year, I definitely had him in like those defensive player of the year conversations and a guy who could maybe go for like the sack title this year or get close to it. And he's still a very good pass rusher, still a guy that makes his impact and all that. But I think the growth we expected and the jump we expected him to take after last year wasn't there. And he has another offseason to be able to get better and improve that. But right now, definitely not meeting the expectations we thought. But question, what moment in this game did you feel, man, the Rams are going to lose this one? If you had that moment? I think, let me think. It was oh yeah, it was definitely that play. The Seahawks were up 31-20, and it was that play right before the taunting call when it was incomplete and we were about to punt it away. It was almost the fourth quarter. We were going to punt it back to them when they have an 11-point lead. That's when I thought that. And then Puka had that incredible touchdown deep after the taunting call. Then I was like, wait, we might actually take this one. And then especially that drive when Stafford put it together and it ended up being a fourth down. Like they couldn't convert on fourth down in the red zone. Even on that drive, I was like, I think we're going to win this game. And then obviously it didn't come out. I believe it's giving up that TD at the end of the half is what cost us the game. It's definitely a big reason for it. And the frustrating thing is I felt it in the moment. I was like, oh, dang, that might actually decide this game. Like, not just from a momentum standpoint, but just overall score standpoint. And just, yeah, that was definitely a big one. The backup for Kobe Turner has some juice. Yeah, Des Johnson, he's definitely a good backup. I think that they did miss Kobe Turner, especially against the run when he went out. But yeah, he's a good backup. I know. So sad that Devontae was that close to winning his first Super Bowl. I know. Yeah, he's been to. This is his 6th NFC Championship appearance that he lost. He's never made it to Super Bowl. That's so sad. I feel bad for you, Peo, Rudy from Romelia, and the Rams fans that have interacted with good people. You make following the Rams very fun, or roller coaster ride fun. Thanks for saying that, Grandizer. It makes me feel a little bit better. Yeah, definitely hurts. Again, it hurts a lot for me of the opportunity that was right there to be able to win one, but also just really wanting certain players on this Rams team to be able to win, like Johnny brought up with Devontae being able to win his first. That would have been incredible. Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, players that haven't been able to do it, but also for Stafford to get another Super Bowl, to get the MVP. Like, it's one of those things where I feel more bad for them that they couldn't get it done than myself. Game ball for the thicker kicker too. No issues there. That's a good point. It's to the point that he did so well that I didn't even think to talk about him. But yeah, he definitely deserves one. Let's see. Dave, yeah, there was a Chiefs fan in Peo stream hating on the Rams, and he was not even joking. I was like, dude, quit being a sore winner. You are on the couch now. Know your place. I don't understand it. It's like, I mean, maybe from an NFL fan perspective, you want the underdog, like Seahawks. They weren't even the underdog, though. That's the weird part. So I couldn't even tell you why people were so against us winning this one. But it may or appears that Shula may not get a head coaching job. So he is this year's next, so he has this next year to maybe finish what he started and get a top 10 defense. Yes. What do you expect? It's hard to know what to expect at this point when you just don't know what the roster is going to look like. I think if the Rams make the improvements that we've been talking about in this stream, Chris Shula has shown that he is a very good DC. He had a lot of mess ups today, but overall, like the body of work, he's shown to be a really good defensive coordinator. And the Rams are the second cheapest defense in the NFL, I believe, from how much money they've allocated towards it. So if they maybe put some more money into it or get a big player in some sort of fashion, I think that it can be a top 10 defense. But at this point, not knowing at all what that defense is going to look like, I don't really know. I'm not super down on Shula, but we'll see what happens. Hey, Rams house, I feel all the pain. This will be a tough 6 months. Yeah, it's going to be really tough, especially if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. Hopefully that just doesn't happen. But thanks for coming in, Juno. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to be repping my Rams. There's certain Rams fans, and they can do whatever they want. But after the Rams season is over, they just don't rep them anymore. If they don't win it, whatever. I'm definitely going to continue to rep them, though, for sure. Burst got extra blocked. He will grow over this offseason. Fisk had a rough second year. Also, these guys will be back stronger. I like that. The muff punt was the nail in the coffin. They gave up unnecessary points. I feel bad for Xavier Smith, as he is not bad for an undrafted rookie. I feel bad for him too, especially because he's a guy that nobody's really had to talk about in a negative light because he's just done his job. And cool story of being a UPS driver just a few years ago and somehow making it on his Rams team and beating the odds. But it is frustrating. And the NFL is definitely very cutthroat, where it's like these mistakes, even though he's been consistent throughout the year, could cost him, just like it did for Pharaoh Cooper. Hope your Rams stay focused, crushed, and heartbroken for a long time. I can't tell. That seems like a double negative kind of thing there. You in the city of LA deserve it more than anyone. Oh, okay. So I see what you mean now. Well, I appreciate it. That's it's a tough one. Dave, what was your score prediction going into this game? I had 23-20, and I had a Rams victory. I definitely felt worse about the game as the week went on, for sure. But I was like, if the Rams play their best football, I think that they can win 23-20. But I did not think it'd be a high-scoring game again. 31-27, I definitely thought it'd be lower, but both teams definitely played well. Shula had weak corners to work with. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely volatile. This is one of those games. We had a great game in terms of volatility last week against the Bears where they played really well great breakups, holding the Bears receivers down, getting interceptions. This week, you had one where it's like, man, I just wish they invested in this position a little bit more. This was our magic year, Dodgers back-to-back, and should have been the Rams. Yeah, definitely hurts. Sorry, I didn't mean it as a knock on Kyron. He runs hard. Maybe stock up. He tried so hard, just could not get the one space to break free. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, Kyron definitely doesn't deserve to be in stock down. Definitely stock up. And I think the case for Kyron a lot this year, people aren't going to talk about it. Everybody was talking about like he needs to get better at fumbles. They were calling him a terrorist and all this stuff, which I just always thought was crazy to do that to a player that you support. But he didn't fumble nearly as much this year. He really cleaned that up. The Rams really just didn't use him a lot this year, but he's a heart and soul at the middle of it, like a Rams player because he was a Rams fan growing up and definitely team captain, a definition of a Ram. So frustrating. Again, that's another guy that I wish we could have won the Super Bowl for, Kyron Williams. Seattle D proved it on the last drive. They talked the talk and stopped us, not a sore loser. Yeah, that's the thing. It came down to it. Like no matter what happened the entire game, and if the Seahawks defense wasn't playing all that great or the Rams were just playing that much better on offense, it came down to that last fourth down and the Seahawks won. It's crazy how it can come down to that one play there, but yeah, there's definitely best on best and they won. I will say this is probably the best the Rams have played for the last month. I can say probably for the offensive side. I wouldn't say for the defensive side. The defense had a very rough game today, but I think that the offense for sure had a really good game. And it was like those moments when they could have just given up or like succumbed under pressure, they just continue to respond. So I think the Rams offense played a lot better. Special teams as a whole played really good. It's obviously you look at those the muff punt, but yeah, I don't really know if it was like if they all played their best, but I think the offense definitely did. People are saying that the Ravens might go to the Super Bowl next year. I don't believe that. Yeah, I honestly, I don't even know. You got to see what the teams do for like adding players and which players leave and all of that, but it's hard to tell. Carolina has improved as his biggest issue last year was fumbling, and that was barely an issue all season. Yeah, he's improved a lot, and I'm glad just because like so many people were getting on him, and it's a player that I feel bad that people just like were really disliking after what he did. But yeah, his pass protection, he's a team captain. He's never going to complain about his usage, and he definitely improved that. And the year before that, it was like, oh, Kyron can't stay healthy. Like that was his big knock. This year is the fumbles, and both those things he's cleaned up the last 2 years. So for a 5th round pick, that was a crazy 5th round pick to have, and definitely happy he got better. Just wish we could have won something for him. Johnny says, got to go do my Bible time before bed. Sorry for the Rams loss. Rams fans, I was pulling for you guys. Appreciate you for saying that. Have a good Bible time. Hopefully get some encouragement. Maybe I need to do more of that to get more encouraged after this one. But yeah, at least you were one of the people pulling for us after apparently a bunch of people weren't pulling for us. I don't know. So what you were saying is that you ram it all day, every day, twice on game day. That's right. All off season, still gonna be representing them. It's always funny because there's like a lot of people that think that I'm a Rams fan and just have been following since McVay and all of that, just because of all like the LA stuff that's behind me and a lot of the merch that I have is LA. But it's like I've been following this team my whole life, like born in like the St. Louis area. So it's like as hard as these losses are, it's also like, man, the Rams have come such a long way since like Jeff Fisher, Scott Linehan, Steve Spagnuolo, like all those Rams teams. Like it hurts, but at the same time, like we're in a good spot. People are saying that there are aliens and there are friends too. What in the world? Shot by Nolan says, salute Rams house, salute to the Ramley. Salute to you, Shot by Nolan. What a classic. Very OG for this channel. So thanks for popping in here. It's going to be a tough one to swallow, though. I hope you continue your channel, maybe draft time or even Super Bowl. I've enjoyed my time here. Thanks for saying that, Juno. I plan on continuing the channel. The only reason that I stopped doing my channel, it was like near the end of 2022 is because I had like very little time to be able to spend on the channel and I got burnt out of like making content. So like I still watched all the Rams game for that couple year gap that I had of covering them, but I just felt so burnt out of like making content, especially with like limited time and all of that. So definitely plan on continuing to make content in the off season and all of that. I don't feel burnt out, which is a good thing. And you guys make it really fun. So thanks for supporting it for sure. Whoops, I did not mean to click on that one. Man, that was wild season. Tough loss tonight. Still, horns up. That's right, Shop I Nolan. That's right. Still going to represent them. Not going to leave them. Never will. But tough loss, especially. Again, I keep saying it all stream is like I think the loss is only going to hurt more. Like the more that I sit with it, the more that days go on past it. Because right now it's still very raw. I still haven't seen the Seahawks celebrating for the NFC Championship, like with the trophy and all of that and the speeches and all. That's going to make it hurt more for sure. But still going to support. Still going to support for sure. Rams defense in the playoffs were pretty leaky the last 3 games. In the last 2 games, the effort was more there as compared to the recent past. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on how you look at it. But when did you start your channel? I want to say that I remember you had your channel before they won their last Super Bowl, and I seen you via with Payout Time. I started my channel, oddly enough, this started as like a random channel. I did like board games, the most random things. And I was pretty young at the time when I started it, but I started focusing on Rams content. It was kind of around the time that the whole John Wolford and Jared Goff controversy came up in the 2020 season. So that's when I started focusing on the Rams more. And so, yeah, it was near the end of that 2020 season is when I focused on Rams content mainly. The other responses was to the comment saying people are saying Baltimore was going to the Super Bowl. Oh, interesting. True indeed, this franchise came a long way from the St. Louis dark days. They have, and it's like as much as this loss hurts, as frustrating as it is, at least our season wasn't over by like October, like it was for a lot of those St. Louis Rams teams. But that's also what makes it hurts more. It's like somebody brought up in the comments earlier, like the last 2 years, this Rams team really could have won the Super Bowl. This year, if I truly believe if they just got past Seattle, that was their biggest roadblock. They're in the Super Bowl. And Johnny brought it up earlier, like, oh, I can't even begin to feel what Devontae is feeling. Like 6 NFC Championship games and no Super Bowl appearances. Like it's players like that that you really just wish could win for this team, not only just for the team's success, but for those kinds of players. Horns up, that's right. Dave, speaking of aliens, the woo tinfoiled hat time, NFL's conspiracies. You think the NFL wanted Darnold versus Pat Super Bowl? Feel good stories? I don't think so. This game didn't really feel rigged to me. Like there were some weird calls and all that, but I don't really think that there's we want this team in the Super Bowl. We don't want that team. Like there are certain calls in certain years, certain games where Rams are one of the teams, the NFC Championship game against the Saints with Nickel Roby-Coleman when he laid out and there was an obvious PI. They didn't call it, whatever. So there's things like that. But honestly, I don't think that they wanted that because, I mean, you can make an argument for, Rams versus Patriots Super Bowl. It's the 2 MVP candidates going head-to-head against each other. It's the Super Bowl we've seen 2 other times in the history of these franchises. So I don't really think so. I think the NFL would have liked Rams and Patriots as well. But I don't know. You never know, I guess. Oh, yeah, it's going to take a while to get over this one. Definitely. I would say it doesn't sting right now. It doesn't sting as bad as the Seahawks collapse that we had on Thursday Night Football, which is weird because this game meant so much more. But I think that's more so from a point of just being like in shock and just like, I guess, just raw emotions still. Like it hasn't fully set in yet for me, but it definitely will. Especially like we're going to have to hear for 2 weeks conversation about, like the Seahawks team's going to win the Super Bowl, and we're going to have to be hearing a Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl preview, and that's not fun. The NFL doesn't care. Crazy. Hey, Rams House, thanks for all the content. Definitely enjoyed interacting here. Rams fan forever. Hey, I appreciate you, Paul. You're definitely one of my strongest supporters, and no matter if it's a victory stream, a loss stream, or first down Rams, or a random video talking about the Rams in any sort of capacity, you're always in here. So I appreciate you probably more than you appreciate me. So thanks for coming in. I think it hurts Devontae, but he played well, and the future is bright. It definitely hurts Devontae. It's probably one of those things where, like, he's not doing this against the Rams in any sort of way, but he probably walks into the locker room. I can picture it screaming, probably throwing his helmet down just because, like, imagine getting to the NFC Championship game 6 times and never making a Super Bowl. And, like, this year you really feel like it's going to be the one. It's open. It's right there for you. So I feel for him as well. And people have speculated, like, are the Rams going to move on in any sort of way, try to save money? He still has another year on his contract. I think they're going to keep him around another year, and I just hope we get that Super Bowl for him. Because, like, as an NFL fan, like, one of my brothers is a Packers fan, so I've known Devontae Adams for his whole time in Green Bay and all of that, and I knew when he's on the Jets and on the Raiders and all of that. And he was a guy I definitely respected, good route runner, good veteran, and all of that. But I've really grown to appreciate him. He was one of those guys that, like, he's just cool to have on your team. Like the aesthetic with a black visor, having a true veteran in there, just a professional on the Rams team in that uniform just looked really cool. All the touchdowns he was able to score for the Rams. And I've really enjoyed this year hearing his press conferences and different media availabilities that the Rams have with Devontae. He's always one of those guys that I look forward to listening to. And I really want it for him. Like, I really want next year for a bunch of guys. But if Devontae truly does stay, which I think he will, his contract is still with the Rams for this next year. Like, I really want him to be able to get that, because just 6 times and not winning a single NFC Championship game, I just feel for him. I don't know if you follow Tom Grassi. He always has funny skits called "If the NFL is Scripted," always worth a good laugh. I have seen that. I haven't tuned into Tom Grassi for a little bit, but I think I'm still subscribed to him because, man, he's almost at 1 million subscribers. He's been grinding crazy, but yeah, the scripted stuff is funny for sure. This is true. It would have hurt more to lose to the Niners, the Pats or the Niners. Yeah, and like if the Rams made the Super Bowl and lost it there, it definitely would have hurt more too. But it's hard. It's hard to, like, it almost feels like you're just trying to cope for like losing this game. Like, as a Rams fan, I relate to that. Like, just trying to find something to pull at. But it's like, it still hurts. Like, still a great season. Still have plenty of moments that I'll never forget. Plays that I'm so thankful that I was able to see. But man, you were close. You were so close. I have to show you guys too, if I can bring it up here. So I always make graphics ahead of time for these streams, like if the Rams win or if the Rams lose, just so that by the time the game's over, I have graphics prepared. So the one that I'm using right now was because obviously we lost the game. But last night I was really hoping that this graphic that I was able to put together, I was hoping a scenario would play out where the Rams would be going to the Super Bowl. I had this graphic ready for a thumbnail, and man, just wish I could have used it. Wish that this would have been a reality going there. This team was so fun. Again, like, the amount of joy that I got out of this team in this season, the amount of heartbreaking losses, the amount of times my heart was probably beating too fast hurts for sure. But this team gave us so much entertainment this year. I wish that this graphic was indicative of where the Rams were headed. I wish I could have pulled it out for an actual thumbnail. And oh man, to see just another game from the Rams this year is all I really wanted. It's like, just keep giving me more Rams games. Like, I just really want another Rams game. I want to be able to talk for another week about Rams football, like previewing a game. And we didn't get that. It's sad, man. But hopefully we can make another one of these graphics next year. But hey, the Super Bowl is back in SoFi next year. Maybe it's for the better. Maybe we do it there. But Payo Time, thanks for coming in. He says, hurts. It does hurt. Hurts really bad. I'm sure there's a lot of people probably on your watch party, like, trolling, probably some good passionate fans in there as well, but it definitely hurts though. The focus is on the result of this game. Is there a Rams player that this was actually their last chance, an older player that might or should be retiring? Well, he didn't play today, but Rob Havenstein, I wouldn't expect to be back. He's been with us since the St. Louis days. Tyler Higbee is another one of those guys. He barely got used this game. Kind of has been getting phased out of the Rams a little bit. Higbee may not be back, and he's kind of getting up there. It's the end of his contract. I don't know if the Rams bring him back when you have Parkinson, Davis Allen, and Terrence Ferguson, but you never know. Maybe he takes a team-friendly deal. Cam Curl, maybe. I can't tell if the Rams are going to bring him back. I don't know if they'd pay 2 safeties, especially given their history. So Cam Curl, that may have been his last game as a Ram. Kobe Durant, I think, is definitely his last game as a Ram, unfortunately. Anytime I think Troy Reader is going to leave, he still ends up staying. So I don't think he's going to leave. Off the top of my head, those are probably some of the players that aren't going to be coming back for the Rams, which is sad. You want to see those players be able to win one. It would be nice if the Rams could find a third wide receiver option to make the offense more dynamic, but prefer the focus on the defense side first off. Yeah, I think the Rams are pretty set on offense with the weapons, with skill positions. I think that they'll definitely put some more assets in there, especially with Devontae getting a year older. And just it's good to have extra depth there. But yeah, defense probably will get some attention for sure. I don't even want to watch or hear about the Super Bowl. See, here's where I'm at. I'm an NFL fan. I love keeping up with what's going on around the league, even if the Rams aren't in it. This one's going to be hard, though, to be able to keep up with the Super Bowl conversation for a couple weeks, being Seahawks and Patriots. Like, are you kidding me? something inside of me just doesn't want to do that. But I think by the time Super Bowl rolls around, obviously we're all going to be going for the Patriots, which is weird. A team that has had success in us against the against us in the Super Bowl years past, but it's like I can't root for the Seahawks. Hey, there's our guy, Peo. Poor guy. Man, I feel this pain. What a drag. Yeah. Peo, if you're still in here, if you want to hop on, you definitely can. If you want a therapy session, I understand for you it's probably 12:15, so it's past midnight on a work night. But if you want to hop on, if you want to talk about Ramsey, you definitely can. Just let me know in the chat. But obviously, I understand if you got to head to bed, you got to head to bed. I have a weird feeling with the Pats cheating again to win. Interesting. I don't know if I see that with Mike Vrabel and with this version of the Patriots. If it was the same old like dynastic Patriots team that was there all the time, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if I see it here though. He changed his bad luck t-shirt too late. Oh no, Peo. You can't do that. Love you, Peo. Yeah, I love you too, Peo. Thanks for coming on here. Says, I wish the Rams could have drafted the tight end from Oregon this draft instead of Ferguson. Honestly, I don't keep up with too much college football, so I'm not sure which tight end from Oregon you're referring to right now, but I do like Ferguson. I think that he showed a lot. He didn't get used a ton, but he actually made a bunch of big plays, and it took the Rams till week 6, week 7, maybe week 8 to actually start using him more and more. And obviously 13 personnel, you're not going to be like the feature guy. It's going to be one of the 3 or the big standout receiver. So I really do like Ferguson where he's at, and he's an explosive, most athletic tight end in this room. And he's the most unique one. He's not just a traditional tight end. So I do like Ferguson, but again, I have no knowledge or very limited knowledge on draft prospects here coming up. So maybe the tight end out of Oregon this year is like generational, but I wouldn't know. Peo had the wrong shirt when he started the stream. He has 2 good luck t-shirts. That's interesting. It's funny because I don't really believe in like the good luck t-shirts, good luck or bad luck t-shirts and things like that. But there are times when it's like the Rams are down and like that thought definitely crosses my head where I'm like, should I change my shirt? Like, no, something I do in Colorado shouldn't affect the Rams thousands of miles away from me. Like that honestly shouldn't affect anything. Ferguson will improve. He will. And he showed a lot for where the Rams used him. Very explosive, very unique tight end. So congrats on the win, Car Wash Channel. That's a funny name. Congrats on the win, though. Selfishly, I'll be rooting against the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, but you guys definitely are in this one for sure. I like the way Kenyon Sadiq looks like he's a tight end that is physical. So I'm guessing that's the guy that's out of Oregon. Physical tight ends are definitely fun too. Reminds me of like a George Kittle or Rob Gronkowski or things like that. But I don't really know if I see the Rams investing anything in the tight ends this year, honestly. Like maybe a depth guy, because I do think that Higbee is probably going to be done after this. They'll probably move on to another team unless he takes a cheap deal. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I'm confused. Terrence Ferguson went to Oregon. Which tight end are we talking about? Yeah, Terrence Ferguson did go to Oregon. I guess there's a really good tight end, like Sadiq is what he's talking about, that is coming out of Oregon this year that he wanted for this year, but we already drafted one last year, so I think that's where he's coming from. When you have a chance to look him up, okay, I definitely will. I mean, I don't expect the Rams to invest in it, but I don't know. The Rams team changed a lot to where they're more 13 personnel, 12 personnel heavier packages. So maybe McVay is going to start to value the tight end position more. Still keep your guys like Devontae and Puka and maybe add another receiver, but maybe that's where this team is shifting of like more heavier personnel. So maybe you do invest in a tight end, but I don't know if I see that. Ferguson hasn't impressed me that much this year. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's given a ton of opportunities, but he's made some big explosive plays, and he is clearly the most explosive tight end in this Rams room. And you saw that double move. It was like the corner post. No, it was post corner touchdown against the Falcons. Obviously, we lost that game, but that was like a 40-yard touchdown to Ferguson. Saw the one in London against Jacksonville when he had that deep one, again, 40 or 50 yards down the field. You saw there's a one against the Bears that we had, but basically he's that big explosive tight end that we've been looking for. So I like him, but obviously to each his own. Yeah, the Rams won't draft higher up in the draft even. Yeah, what is their first pick? I think their first pick is somewhere around like the mid-teens from the Falcons, and then obviously they have another one that's going to be at this point with where they lost like pick 29, 28. Can't remember in particular, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Rams have a bunch of different assets, cap space wise and draft picks wise. What would you say about Curl? Yeah, I would maybe expect the Rams to draft a safety, maybe second round. That could be an upgrade over Curl. I personally really like Cam Curl. Is he the best coverage guy that's just going to be locking people down, getting turnovers and all of that? I wouldn't say so, but he is one of I think he's the solo tackle leader for the Rams this year, and he's one of those guys that if it's a one-on-one, no matter who is in front of him, he's going to make the tackle. So that's what I appreciate about Curl. And they use him in the box, they use him deep, they use him blitzing. So I think he's very versatile, but I don't know if I see the Rams paying two safeties again. Like they already paid Lake. They really like Curl, but I don't really know if he comes back. I don't know if the Rams would draft one in the second round because they just don't typically value that position a lot. And I think if the Rams improve the secondary at all, it would be addressing cornerback more so. So I'd love to see Curl back. I love what he brings to the table, but he does deserve to have an upgrade in pay. And does that fit into the Rams' plan for the future? I don't know. Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of sad Broncos fans in Colorado. There's even the neighbor that lives right next to me. He's like one of the most passionate Broncos fans. I can hear him cheering when it's like he's across the street, window shut, and all of that. I can hear it, and yeah, I felt for him. There's a lot of Broncos fans that were pretty sad. Okay, 13th overall. I appreciate that. I definitely, yeah, I couldn't remember where we picked there. That's not a bad pick, honestly. I love Caleb Downs, but I'm a Buckeye guy. Caleb Downs, that is a guy that I do know. And then there's like, isn't there like Mekhi Lemon people talk about a lot too? So yeah, there's different options. I'm just very curious to see where the Rams take this. Do you want, okay, let me reread this. Do you want or think Colby Parkinson's drop was a walk-in TD? If so, Seahawks know they once again escaped the Rams. Well, I do think it changes the outcome of that drive. I don't know if you can say definitively it does. I don't think it's a walk-in touchdown because right behind Parkinson, I believe was Eamon Warrior, who was everywhere. There was a safety coming down right behind him, and I think that's kind of why Parkinson dropped it. Is he tried to catch it, started to look upfield because there was a guy coming down. So I don't think it was a walk-in touchdown, but I do think if he does catch that the Rams do end up. Actually, I don't know. They did convert after that. So I don't even know, but I don't think it was a walk-in touchdown. If a safety like Caleb Downs is there at 13, that would be a huge upgrade. But then Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo in the second or late first could be nice if the Rams take a cornerback at 13. Yeah, there's a lot of different directions they could go, and that's the interesting thing too. Is like not only from an asset standpoint of what the Rams have, but like these guys are going to shoot up and then drop in the draft boards, and that always happens. So and even from a draft board perspective, a lot of times the Rams go away from like what the consensus guys are to be able to pick. So you never know what to expect from this Rams team. Who knows what they're going to do? And it's going to be entertaining for sure. But unfortunately, that's a couple of months away, the actual draft. I like Lake, but I worry that he's not as much of a physical presence. Maybe he is still recovering from the elbow injury. Yeah, I don't know if he's ever been like an extremely physical guy, but he's a very good form tackler, and he knows where he's supposed to be a lot of the times. I would say man to man against the best receivers in the NFL, you can tell he's not like a lockdown kind of guy, but like very good communicator. He knows where he's supposed to be. Is a very good team captain. So I do like that aspect of it. Good form tackler, but yeah, physical presence would be nice. I think Cam Curl can be like that, but like Nick Scott when he was on the Rams wasn't a great safety in terms of just like an overall safety, but he did bring the boom on a lot of the times, and he'd be like the big hitter. I mean, we remember against Deebo Samuel, that was a big hit too. So I think the Rams at this point should trade down or for a hopefully extra first next year if possible. We have to see. Yeah, I trust them too. Slushy Boys, Seahawks fan says, Hawks fan here, GG's y'all is tough AF. Yeah, I mean, this as a Rams fan, it's tough. I appreciate you being respectful coming in here. It is tough to lose back to back to the Seahawks in this way in heartbreaking fashion with the game that was on the line here. We get even when we didn't play at our best, when we had that turnover, when we didn't do things that we expected in certain senses, it's like, man, it was still tough. It was still down to the wire. Just wish we came out on top. But good luck to you, Slushy. We didn't have a Keller Witherspoon back there. Is a good tackler. I don't really know if I'd put him in like a physical presence though, like they were talking about at safety. But yeah, Kello definitely missed him for sure. I wonder how much that would have impacted this game if we had him, especially putting him on a JSN. But I think JSN would have still had a good day anyway. But like, is it that good? I don't really know. But Rams overall were really healthy heading into this game. Like there was only a couple injuries, but overall they were very healthy. And that's one of those things where we talked about it earlier of you can never bank that your team's just going to get right back and that we'll be right back here in the championship game next year. It's like not only does your team change a lot, do the matchups change a lot, but also from a standpoint of team health, like the Rams could build an incredible team next year and get really beat up or have a huge injury at the end of the year. Like you never know. So that's why you got to strike while the iron's hot in situations like these. If you were able to win this one, like that would be one of the more healthy Super Bowl teams heading into it. So that's what makes it sting a little bit more. The Rams are great at fixing the current issue. We'll either draft or trade for a DB help, like we picked up Ford to stop Saquon. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. It's like I think the Rams do have that healthy impatience of things. If things aren't working out, and especially if it costs them in big games like this, like they're not just going to overlook it. They're going to invest into it. To your point about Poona Ford and Nate Landman bringing it in for the run defense and how much that helped. If the Rams maybe get an extra pass rusher, like a proven guy there to help the pass rush take that next step, or if they bring in some people at cornerback, which they will do no matter what, because they're going to have to replace those bodies. I do think that they have that right impatience to be able to bring in when they know that there's a need. So I think they actually will address it for sure. The injuries the Rams had for the most part were at the worst position. Yeah, but I would still say they were pretty healthy at this point in the year. Like this was the healthiest that they've been in a long time, and it was at the right time of year. So I don't know. At least we didn't get Saquon today. Those are killers. That's true. Yeah, getting Saquon, those ones hurt for sure. The Rams will probably give Puka an extension this offseason. I would imagine, yeah. I don't think they want to drag it out and let his price go any higher. So I think he gets an extension for sure, and that definitely will eat into the cap space for sure, but it's definitely the right move. I mean, without even a question about that. So, yeah, guys, I am just going to, yeah, he's going to get paid a lot. That's going to do it for this stream. Thank you guys all just for hanging with me all season long. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not going to stop doing Rams content because their season's over. Obviously, the videos are going to be different. We won't have a game preview on Tuesday for the first time in the entire season. It's been all the way back since late August to September since I haven't made a game preview. So that's going to be sad. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me, staying positive, all your feedback, and all the ways that you've supported me this year. And hey, hopefully next year we're going to be able to make a graphic like this when the Rams are actually heading to the Super Bowl and we can have a Super Bowl run. But the season was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Really sad way to end it, but you guys definitely made it even more fun. Just the interaction, the engagement, and this channel wouldn't be what it is without you guys. So appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great night. Hope you guys are able to sleep tonight after tonight's loss. And hey, let's just hope the Seahawks lose this one. But that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a great day.